he's seeing at our remote office, which is why that defaulted there, but if we're scheduling him today at the main office, I would certainly change that. We also have departments, and I don't have departments created in my system, but a practice may departmentalize. For example, physical therapy might actually departmentalize what part of physical therapy is that patient coming in for today. Is he going into the pool, or is he going into the gymnastic area, or is he going into, another part of our office? So physical therapy ends up having different departments inside them, and they might want to departmentalize their appointments as well. Under type, this is where you set up your appointment types. So if I'm going to say that this patient's coming in for a follow-up appointment, it knew that the follow-up appointment was 10 minutes and that we associated that as a color yellow. And just to show you a few others, I can go ahead and put in new patient and what the duration is and what the color is. Your practice actually designs those as part of their setup. So what is the patient coming in for today? I can also say from here what the problem is. So we could say fever, chills, dizzy. So we can put in different types of information if we want right into the notes area, and that stuff can carry over into EMR for us as well. I could save and close this appointment right now, but before I do that, I'm going to finish talking about our problem type and our resources. So I had mentioned resources earlier, and if I wanted to schedule this patient to have the casting room, then I could just search in here and say that I'm scheduling a resource at the same time. I also have the ability to pre-build problem types. So if we are a specialty that has specific types of problems a patient comes in for, we can pre-build that information and it would automatically pop up in here and carry into EMR for us as well. I'm going to click on resource and talk about resources for a second. Up here, it knew that I was sitting, or that the common way to sit is in a 15-minute duration appointment time slot. So it kind of takes that information automatically. I can say that this patient is coming in on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So if I do that, I can actually pick for how long, and we can say that this patient's maybe under therapy treatment until the end of March. And then I can click show, and it'll show me any appointments that I want to book this patient for. So on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If I hit apply here, it would actually make the appointment for this patient going all the way out into the end of March, as I had picked here. So I don't really want to do that at the moment, so I'm going to close. Excuse me. And then I'm going to go ahead and just save and close that appointment. So this is telling me that this patient's already scheduled for the selected date. Do you wish to continue? And I'll say sure. So that's just because I'm in a play database, but most of the time your practices would be grateful to know the patient's already scheduled in here. So it's a good thing. When you hover over them, you'll see that it shows Robert's account as the sick call, fever, chills, and dizzy, and then it shows their appointment type. So you can actually kind of see what's going on with that patient as we're going. If I click on it, on the bottom left-hand side, it also comes up showing you things like their phone number, the location of the appointment, etc. So it gives you a little more information as well. So scheduling is pretty easy to do. It offers you an abundance of choices and of course the flexibility that you need when you're in your office. So back to talking about the pre-designed templates. In the pre-designed templates, I have it set up to where all of my open appointment times are set up as white. But I certainly could click on this Show Templates in Color button and have it color-coded if that's something that your practice would rather see. Personally, I like to see it in white and then see my appointments that are scheduled out there in color. I have the ability too to see, do I want to see the templates or do I want the templates hidden? So when I click on the hide template, it actually just shows me appointments that are truly scheduled compared to showing me the template where I would be booking them. So if I was demonstrating to office manager or to a front desk or a call center person, I would be showing them the pre-built template. But if I was the doctor, I wouldn't want to see that template all the time. I would just want to see my appointments that are out there for today. So I would probably set my default to be hide template, where somebody else might set their default like it is today to say show me the template. I have the ability to see, of course, by day, which is what we're looking at now, or by week, or even by month. So I have the ability to see my calendars in many different ways if that's, an easier look for people and how busy they are and how far out they book their appointments. On that note, I'm going to talk about searching for appointments. So if I click on search, it takes me into a search screen where I can say I want to search for Dr. Lance Plastic for new patients at my main office. And then when I click the search button, it's going to show me a calendar that I can now book a new patient. So if a new patient is calling and said, I'd like to come to your practice, how far out are you booking appointments? Then I can just double click from here and book it. I also have a recurrence pattern down below. I can look for or search recurrence patterns the same way that I did in the last screen, but this way if I needed to search for or book certain appointments at one time, I can grab them and certainly schedule them out. I'm going to go ahead and close from here and then talk about our next search option. Our next search option is actually done through follow-up. So if my patient is checking out and my doctor said, I would like to see this patient in 3 months, then instead of clicking the original search area, I would actually click on the follow-up button and say for 3 months. Now mind you that right here, this is all customizable. You as a practice determine what follow-up you would like to see. As I click on the 3 month screen, what it did is it threw me out to the doctor that I had highlighted, and it automatically knew based on my setup what appointment types I consider follow-up appointment types, and it gives me that information. It also took me right into the time frame that I wanted it to go into, although my hand just dragged across my screen and went farther than it was supposed to. But it took me right into May, into this particular week of May, because it knows that that's the date that I'm scheduling 3 months out from. Today was 2/22, so it's taking me out to May 22nd so that I can start scheduling follow-up appointments from there. So it's just a quick launch for my checkout to say, when are they coming in 6 months, what's available, and then what's not. So it's that easy for me to create follow-up appointments. I can also click on print preview. When I go into print preview, I can do it by doctor if I want to, or I could certainly see separate doctors, but I'm going to go ahead and do a generate report. And maybe I won't. Let me get back out here so I can see what appointments I have going. I don't think Dr. Lance Plastic is my doctor I want to see today. So for some reason I got on Sunday's date there. It must have just been my hand dragging across my screen, so I apologize. So let's try it again. We're going to go into print preview. And if I paid attention, I would know better. So under appointments here, it's showing me the appointments that I have scheduled out here for Dr. Norman Pede today. I can customize these by either quickly getting to them by today, tomorrow, yesterday, this week, last week kind of information. I could also customize by putting in any date ranges that I want to here, or up in the patient area, which I think is really slick, is I could put in one particular patient's name here, and if they do have multiple recurring appointments, I can get it to show me all of their recurring appointments and print this off to give to the patient as their own reminders. So it's a nice feature that I don't think many other practice management systems offer. So that was a very good good piece of material there. The other thing I can do is what we call zoom time. I have my system set up to see every 15 minutes. But if your practice is one that actually books maybe every 5 minutes or something, you can click on that 5 minute area and it's going to take you into the every 5 minute screenshot here. So it's a little bigger if that's something that is easier for you to read or something that you would like to read. You can drive your zoom time to be whatever you want in your practice. I usually leave it at 15 minutes because it's pretty standard for Outlook and how I'm customized to looking at things. So making appointments or scheduling them is all pretty easy. I can also check a patient in. So that's kind of my next move. So we kind of showed you the screen, showed you appointments, how to move around, and how you can pre-design stuff. I'm going to right click here and say that I could mark Robert as a no-show or a cancel, and of course we'll be able to get reports out of the system that will tell us how many no-shows or cancels do I have in a day, etc. I can also come down here to templates. Our templates are driven off of Microsoft Word, as you all know from EMR. So I'm just going to kind of show you a few things here, but our SOAP notes are really our templates that our doctors use when they're documenting their exams, as well as I can get any type of report information I want, referral letter information, etc. But I'm going to really concentrate on my check-in for the moment. So I'm in check-in and I can pre-set up any check-in type of templates that I want built in Microsoft Word. So I can build my own encounter forms, I can have face sheets, HIPAA forms, financial forms, new patient packets, receipts of any sort that you can drive from, waiver of liabilities, consent forms. You can really pick just about anything that you want there. So I just wanted to talk about that from the outside, but I can also right click and then when I do check a patient in, one more second. Before I say check in, notice that there's a task down there. I could actually go to task and say this patient is coming in for a follow-up visit for labs or tests, maybe an MRI or something. And there's nothing more annoying to a physician than a patient sitting in their room waiting for test results and we don't have those results in our office yet for some reason. So you could actually pre-design a task so that you can make sure that if they're coming back for a follow-up for a read of some sort, that we actually have that information in there before the patient comes in. So tasking can be used in multiple ways, and I just like to kind of talk about that one right here. When I click on the check-in, this check-in box is actually driven for us to do everything a check-in staff should have to do. They could get their prior authorization from here, or they could launch out to eligibility. Normally that stuff is done ahead of time, but just in case this is a walk-in appointment or somebody who is giving us new insurance information at the time of check-in, I can certainly do that from here. I also have my templates that are stored out here, and so my example a minute ago was to say I need to get a HIPAA form off for this patient and a face sheet, and I want to get maybe an encounter sheet. So I can certainly just by checkboxing those get those to print. As soon as I hit save and close, my system would automatically print those to my default printer, or it would take me into the printer area to say which printer do you want it to go to. And that's all a setting that you determine. So the idea here is that a patient, when you go into the doctor's office, sometimes you're given 6 or 7 forms to fill out, and that patient has to fill out their name and address,